FBI management, said the same thing. They said, yeah, it's got to be somebody at the CIA. Nobody wanted to believe it was somebody in the FBI, especially a senior person like Bob Hansen was. So he kept going on and on throughout his, tenure, committing espionage, and no one stopped him. And there was a lot of other things that happened along the way before he got arrested that were indicators that, somebody should have called him in and checked, did a polygraph investigation on him, just some simple things, and I think they would have caught him. But no one did. And I think that's like a lot of these guys that like Dickerson, he's above the law. He comes back and says, hey, I don't need that. You trust me.
John, while we're at it, can you tell us, you don't have to name your source, but the IG-related, Air Force IG-related source who knew of Major Douglas Dickerson being under investigation by the IG back then in 1990s while he was in Turkey?
Yes. There was an investigation on him, and it was a joint Air Force FBI investigation, actually. And it basically didn't go anywhere. It seemed like it was just, thrown under the rug. Nothing was ever done with that case. And there was a lot of stuff
kept
there.
His clearance.
Pardon?
He came back to the United States. His wife started working for the FBI, and he started working for Richard Pearl and Douglas Feith in Pentagon starting in 2001.
Mm-hmm. That's correct. And nothing was ever done. The investigation stopped. No one...
See, it seems to be something more cynical at work here than incompetence.
The thing is, though, I'm just going to say this. I know when I was in the FBI, and we had cases similar to that. I can't get into any detail on the cases, but I'll tell you this. We were working the cases. The street agent was out there busting his hump, trying to, get the evidence we needed to go to make the arrest. That would come back to headquarters. We'd work it at headquarters, and when we sent it up further, up to management, then it would just die. And we would ask the question. There was a case like that involving a Turkish investigation I had years ago, where we knew the IO was coming into town with a suitcase full of money to pay his source here in the States, the individual who's committing the espionage. We knew exactly when they were going to meet, where they were going to meet, and the money that was going to be exchanged. We knew all that. And I remember that was going to happen on a weekend. And I called the FBI office that was involved, and I told them, I said, okay, we need to send our surveillance teams out there, and this is going to come down on this day, this time, at this place. We knew the time, place, everything. And I said, when it goes down, give me a call at home or page me. Let me know what's going on. Well, I went home that Friday night expecting a call that weekend. I never received a phone call. I came in on Monday, and I asked the section chief. I asked my boss. I said, his name was Bill. I said, Bill, what the hell happened? I was expecting a phone call this weekend. Well, he said nobody was ever sent out there, so nothing was done. They pulled the agents off of that case to work on a more higher priority case. I said, wait a minute. We knew the guy was coming in. We knew the place. We knew the time. All we had to do was send 3 or 4 guys out there and just sit there for a half an hour during that time frame, and we would have had them. Why couldn't we do that? And there was no explanation. So something had been done to make sure that nobody was arrested. And I'll never forget that. As long as I live, I'll never forget.
That's why we have these crusty guys in Congress who've been there for many, many years.
Somebody did not want that to come down. They didn't want the Turkish IO to be arrested, and they didn't want the the subject, the American that was committing the espionage, they didn't want that individual to be arrested, so they just ignored it. They just ignored the fact that we had all that information, and they didn't pursue it. They didn't want it done.
John, as we wrap up here, I wanted to touch on two things briefly. One is that I know that part of your duties over the years at the FBI involved compliance with the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act. Are you comfortable with the so-called reforms, the modifications that were rammed through the Congress in the summer of 2008? And do you believe that our government is in compliance with the Fourth Amendment of the Constitution?
I'm not comfortable, and no, I don't think we are in compliance. I'll tell you that right now. There was a lot of problems with the FISAs. I did a lot of FISAs when I was in the FBI. I did hundreds of FISA packages. And there was a certain way that you had to prepare those packages, and you had to get them initialed in different areas every time you went to, go through each step. And each step back then, I felt was fair. I said, we go to the National Security Law Unit, they check off on it. They make sure that no one's rights are getting violated. They make sure that it's complete and that it is in tune with what the law states. And then it goes over to the Department of Justice. They review it over there. OIPR reviews it. Their attorneys over there review it. Make sure that it's in compliance with what the laws state. And then it goes to FISA court. And then the judge, there's only a handful of judges that sit on that FISA court. And back then, anyway, I think they were very fair. I think they wanted to make sure that everything was the way it's supposed to be, and no one's rights were being violated. That has taken a drastic change, I think, over the years. Like I was saying before with the Patriot Act and some of these other things that came out, I just think that was a big mistake. There's some parts of the Patriot Act that are good. I have to say that there's probably a couple things in the Patriot Act that might be beneficial. But the majority of it is just wrong, and it just reeks of abuse. It's just more of an instrument for abuse than anything else.
Well, would you say it's a blueprint for a police state?
Oh, yes, definitely. And what I can't figure out, and this has been going through my mind for some time now, in 1985 was the year of the spy. I don't know if you remember that or not, but the FBI had made a lot of arrests, caught a lot of people committing espionage, and they deemed it the year of the spy. And that was based on good old-fashioned investigative work. You did the work, you got the evidence together, and you went out and made your arrest. We didn't have all this additional things that they have now with the Patriot Act, because they're not necessary. If people would just do what they're supposed to do on their investigations and follow through with what they're supposed to follow through with, follow the leads, go out and do what they're supposed to do, we wouldn't need all this. The only thing it has done, I think, and it's been proven, we know they've violated NSLs, National Security Letters.
Yep.
We know that.
Sure.
We know that they have set up surveillance on innocent individuals, and yet nothing has ever happened to those people who did that. We know that they've gone in and they've administered certain techniques. I won't go into the techniques, but they've administered certain techniques against innocent Americans, which has caused those individuals a lot of heartache, if not some of them being arrested, falsely arrested. It's just not good. It reminds me of, my mother is Alsatian. She grew up during World War II in Alsace,